Hello and welcome to another marvelous video. I'm your host Will. We've gone over so many horror stories on this channel, I think it's about time we focus on something a little more niche. In this video, we're gonna go over many lost stories that feature the one and only Bigfoot. Let's get to it. One of the most elusive cryptids out there is Bigfoot. Also known as Sasquatch, this huge ape-like humanoid is said to reside in the forests of North America. What makes it so interesting is the alleged photographic evidence associated with it. I know, it might be dubious and hardly believable, but we cryptozoologists will take any evidence we can get. It's a fun cryptid to obsess over. Just this giant guy who hates people and lives alone in the forest. I can relate. Obviously, not all lore associated with Bigfoot is whimsical. There have been urban legends and stories about the creature killing humans who dare to enter its territory. Tapping into these horrors are some awesome movies, series, and comic books that I'm going to share with you. Prepare to get your binge on. Let's get to it. Night of the Demon. The woods in Northern California are home to a deadly Bigfoot. This creature is single-handedly responsible for numerous disappearances and murders, but the cops don't believe Bigfoot exists. Carla Thomas, the daughter of one of the victims, has had enough of the authorities doing jack to catch the creature and meets up with Bill Nugent, an anthropology professor intent on proving the existence of Bigfoot. Carla joins Bill and his students Gary, Pete, Linda, and Roy on their expedition. The group heads to the town near the woods where Bigfoot reportedly lives, but Bigfoot is not the only trouble they have to look out for. The group also discovers a local cult centered around Bigfoot and a recluse named Wanda, who was assaulted by Bigfoot when she was a teenager. Will the group succeed in its attempt to prove Bigfoot's existence, or will Bigfoot end their existence instead? Watch Night of the Demon to find out. This crazy 1980 horror film was directed by James C. Wasson and stars Michael Cutt, Robert Collings, Jody Lazarus, and Joy Allen. Night of the Demon was originally called The Revenge of the Bigfoot, as it was hoping to ride the wave of popular Bigfoot films in the 70s, but by the time this flick was released, interest in the cryptid had waned, and the filmmakers decided to change the title. Don't go into Night of the Demon expecting a well-made movie. It is anything but. The acting and directing are mediocre. It's not really surprising, as many of the scenes were reportedly shot in a single take. Despite that, the creepy music and cheesy 80s vibes makes this a worthy watch. If you like movies that feel like a fever hallucination featuring Bigfoot, you need not look any further than Night of the Demon. Exists. If you've never actually been scared by a Bigfoot film, you need to watch the 2014 found footage film Exists, directed by Eduardo Sanchez. This thrilling film follows Brian and Matt, two brothers who plan a trip to their uncle's cabin in East Texas with their friends Todd, Elizabeth, and Matt's girlfriend Dora. On the way, they hit something with their car and hear the loud cries of an animal. They dismiss the cries and continue on their merry way. As luck would have it, the way to the cabin is blocked by a fallen tree. They go the rest of the way on foot, but the cabin is dilapidated, and they're forced to spend the rest of the night in their car. The night takes a nasty turn, as they had actually killed a juvenile Bigfoot with their car earlier, and its parent is out for revenge. They can't expect any help to come their way either, as Brian and Matt had stolen the keys from their uncle and hadn't told him that they would be staying at his cabin. The brutal night they spend at the cabin forms the tale of Exists. The film stars Roger Edwards, Dora Madison Berg, and Chris Osborne. Brian Steele, the character actor who is well versed in playing monsters, plays Bigfoot. The plot of the film is very straightforward and doesn't have any twists. One complaint I do have against the film is that the characters are really obnoxious and annoying at times, but hey, horror films would not be the same with characters who actually use their brains. The pace is quite brisk, and the Bigfoot makeup is quite believable. So if you want to turn off your brain for a while and catch a found footage flick, choose Exists. Bigfoot. Any horror fan who loves comic books knows about the master craftsman Richard Corbin. Corbin's illustrations in Den, the Sword and Planet series that drew inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft, and Haunt of Horror, a comic book adaptation of classic horror stories, have delivered thrills and chills to many a reader. Corbin teamed up with Steele Niles, the writer of Criminal Macabre, a Kyle MacDonald mystery, and Batman, Gotham County Line, and singer-songwriter Rob Zombie to give us Bigfoot, a graphic novel like no other. We follow a monster Sasquatch haunting the woods of the Pacific Northwest, attacking anybody and everybody. First published in 2005 as a 4-issue miniseries, Bigfoot is slightly disappointing, giving the heavyweight names involved. What I love about comic creature features is that comics let the stories of the creatures be explored in detail. Usually we get a lot of either new lore or more detailed versions of old lore about cryptids. That's not what happens in Bigfoot though. Very little, if any, time is given to exploring the mythos, and Bigfoot is reduced to a slasher villain. Corbin's illustration skills, however, save the whole series, and I would recommend Bigfoot if you happen to love comic book slashers and good horror art. Primal Rage. When Ashley picks up her husband Max following his release from prison, the last thing on either of their minds should be Sasquatch, irrespective of what a magnificent creature it is. This is how the journey starts for the married couple in the 2018 film Primal Rage. Ashley and Max's car, awkwardly reuniting after Max's release, drive through the forests of the Pacific Northwest. The drive soon turns into a nightmare straight from hell, as they become lost and have to face the unkindness of nature and unfriendly locals, every tourist's worst fear if you ask me. On top of that, they have to deal with a monstrous creature stalking them, which the Native Americans call Oma. As the lines blur between reality and legend, Ashley and Max inadvertently begin a fight for their lives. Co-written and directed by Patrick McGee, Primal Rage stars Andrew Joseph Montgomery and Casey Gagliardi. The filmmakers had a major problem filming Primal Rage. They had chosen to shoot in the areas around Crescent City, California during February of 2 consecutive years to make use of the overcast climate and showers of California. The filmmakers were in for a disappointment though, as a drought had begun around the time filming commenced, forcing them to use fog machines and large drapes to block out sunlight. As fate's final laugh, it rained a little on the last day of filming. Despite this obstacle, Primal Rage comes out as a decent film. The acting is not that noteworthy, and the plot is kind of predictable, but it picks up fast. It's an enjoyable watch for lovers of rampage and unique monster movies. Sasquatch. Sasquatch is a no-nonsense true crime documentary series on Hulu that premiered in 2021. The name is a bit misleading though, as the documentary is not completely about the mysterious creature. Investigative journalist David Holthouse investigates a triple homicide that supposedly happened 25 years earlier. This bizarre case is blamed on Sasquatch, but as Holthouse's investigation continues, it becomes clear that larger things are at play. Some people allude to a connection with the Hells Angels biker gang, while others point towards Spy Rock Road, a marijuana-growing area in Mendocino County where things are pretty lawless. As I said, if you're expecting a serious dive into the origins of Bigfoot or proof of its existence, you will be thoroughly let down, but you will find it engrossing if you like true crime. The reason I added Sasquatch to the list is because it sheds some light on an important aspect of cryptozoology, deception. While most of us fall in love with cryptids and mystical creatures to get in touch with our whimsical side, the documentary tells us how those beliefs can be exploited by bad actors for their own selfish and nefarious reasons. This entry is a reminder for every fan of urban legends to believe as much as you can, but keep your suspicions on alert. Bigfoot, The Lost Coast Tapes. Fans of found footage films, rejoice. We have another one right up your alley. The 2012 film Bigfoot, The Lost Coast Tapes. The film's protagonist is Sean Reynolds, an investigative journalist. Reynolds used to be a big deal, but the most watched episode of his reality show, which focused on paranormal stuff, was proven to be a hoax, and Reynolds lost all his credibility. Now Reynolds has the perfect chance to come back like never before. There is a Sasquatch hunter called Carl Drybeck who is hell-bent on proving that Bigfoot exists. Reynolds decides to film him, not to prove the existence of the cryptid, but to show the world that Carl is a liar and the whole thing is a hoax, and thereby regain his previously lost acclaim. He enlists a bunch of friends to be his documentary crew, and things go south real fast when Reynolds realizes that Carl might not be a liar after all. One thing I can say for sure about the film is that it's an original idea. Bigfoot, The Lost Coast Tapes is directed by Corey Grant and stars Drew Rosh, Ashley Wood, and Rich McDonald. It's not exactly the crowning jewel of the genre, but it's not trash either. It comfortably surfs the in-between with some effective special effects, funny dialogue, and likable characters. The acting is really all over the place and sometimes unnecessarily over the top, but if you suspend your disbelief for a while, you might end up enjoying it. Willow Creek. People go crazy in their passions. Captain Ahab went insane trying to kill Moby Dick. Nina Sayers lost her mind trying to be the Black Swan. You get the idea. Jim, the protagonist of our next film, Willow Creek, is on a similar path of passion-led destruction. Jim believes in Bigfoot a bit too much, and sets out for Northern California to film his own Bigfoot footage near where the iconic 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film was shot. All Bigfoot fans know about the Patterson-Gimlin film, but if you haven't had the pleasure, it's one of the most famous pieces of purported evidence for Bigfoot's existence. Jim doesn't go alone. He drags his skeptical girlfriend, Kelly, and camps near Willow Creek, the Bigfoot capital of the world. When Bigfoot finally shows itself, Jim will be sure to realize why wise men say, be careful what you wish for. Writer and director Bobcat Goldthwait had one big adventure directing this 2013 found footage film. Calling it the Blair Squatch Project, Goldthwait described his filmmaking style as very guerrilla. He had written only a 25-page outline of the film and let the actors improvise most of it. The film was also shot in just 5 days. True to the characters they play, actor Bryce Johnson was a staunch believer in Bigfoot, but actress Alexi Gilmore was not. All this adds to the film's lore and, honestly, makes it so much more interesting. The organic acting is probably a result of the improvisation too. The ending is a little disappointing, but the slow burn atmosphere makes it a worthy homage to the Blair Witch Project. This might not be the best found footage film ever made, but it's definitely in the running for the best Bigfoot movie. These were 7 of the best pieces of Bigfoot media that fly under most cryptid lovers' radar, so I hope these entertain you well. My personal favorite is Bigfoot, The Lost Coast Tapes, as I can never get enough of found footage films, and the movie is just so intriguing. Let me know which one of these you liked the most, and if I left any of your favorites off the list. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. We'll be back soon with more awesome stuff, but until then, take care.